Welcome back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real-life working screenwriter. I'm Tasha Hugh.
And I am Josh Hallman.
And per usual, we're skipping the stupid intro. No, it's not stupid, but there's more exciting things ahead. So we have a guest today. Josh, take it away.
We have a great guest today, a guest I'm very excited about. I've been circling him like a shark for quite some time. I've been trying to get him on the podcast. His name is Jacob Motz. He works at a company called Portal A, where he is the director of original projects. Portal A is a... Well, Jacob, can you just tell us real quickly what Portal A is branded as now?
No problem. It's changed a few times since its inception, but we're now calling ourselves a brand entertainment agency. We used to fight against the word agency. We thought it brought the ick, but you know, you're a production company forever and you wake up one day and you have a bunch of kind of client facing people working at your company and more strategists than anything. And you go, oh, we are an agency. We actually do that work. So we're embracing it now. But yeah, brand entertainment agency.
So Portal A is an amazing, amazing company. And Portal A was founded by these guys, Kai, Nate, and Zach. I know Kai. I've known Kai for like...
I know Kai.
Like, you know Kai, Tasha. We've had Kai... And I've written with Kai, all the different things. I can't remember, Jacob, where I first met you, but I worked for Portal A for a short period of time. I'm not sure if you remember that. And I was in the office, but it was around that same time we all had shorts. And so I think you had directed a short or you had written a short. And so I met you, and then Kai and I had worked on a short together that he directed. And I was in the office, and then you and I started to talk, and I was like, God, I love Jacob. He's like incredible. And that's where we first met.
That was Robu. Was that Robu?
It was Robu, yes.
That was Robu. Yeah, and I had just done a short called Death, I think, around that same time that my good pal Constance Wu was in. And Robu was incredible. I think it was Kai's first short film. It's funny because it's like Kai is this really prolific short form director, right? Like the Portal A was kind of built around Kai as a director there, and he directs a little bit less now because we've gotten really big, but he's got all this background directing stuff, you know, for the day job. And I remember when he was like, I'm going to go make a short film, and he got really stressed about it because it was like, it's not for the job. It was his vision purely for that sake. And I remember that being a big deal when he made Robu.
Was the stress about like making sure creatively that it was the thing in your head gets translated properly, or was it the stress of like it's actually different doing a narrative versus like the stuff that he was doing for his day job?
Now I'm speaking based on my terrible memory, but
tell me about
in my recollection, it was mainly stress about his work at Portal A. You're insulated a little bit with there's a client. It's there's all these KPIs you're trying to hit. There's objectives that exist beyond just the creative thing you're doing, and it creates a bit of a scaffolding for you to exist in. But I remember having conversations with him about the leap into just a short film and him feeling like, oh, it's really like I'm the engine. I have to be really sure about this because none of that scaffolding exists. You can't go, oh, but the client really wanted X, Y, and Z on your short film. Yeah, you have to just be like, yeah, I made that decision. That's on me. But I know it was really fulfilling, very stressful, very fulfilling. And he's done more since then. And yeah, Josh, Kai is I'd say 50% of my conversations with Kai are about kind of independent scripted projects versus even Portal A stuff. It's like we're all same mindset with that in that world.
Well, two things. Number one, if Kai's listening to this, I know he's probably like, stop talking about me, please. Just
I'm positive.
100%. He's like, move on from this right now. But number two, just kind of going into you saying you have all these conversations, and this will kind of get us into things. But one of the things that I loved about Portal A and love about Portal A really is, I'm not just saying this, like kind of like the culture that exists there. I remember when I came in, everybody had a great creative mind and everyone openly talked about projects they were working on. And, sometimes you work at a company and the job's the job, like that's it. But in Portal A's case, and I think at other good companies, you openly talk about, oh, I'm writing this, I'm going to work on this short film, and everyone's kind of, hyping you up and talking about it, and it gets excited about it. And I love that. And I think that kind of speaks to kind of the culture within Port LA and kind of what you guys do. And this is kind of what I wanted to get into. And basically one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you or have you on was because you guys also have things for writers. Like you have other avenues that I think exist or that maybe writers don't know about.
Yeah, Port LA it really is people will say like, oh, it's like a shop. It's like a workshop. Port LA really is. It's maker mentality is very important here, whether you're on the creative team, a producer, whoever. We really embrace folks who are making stuff, whatever that may be, whether it's like short films, writing features, or, just creating anything with your hands. Like we really do value that ability to just go create things. And we even tear down a lot of the walls that typically exist between roles, like it's not like if you're at Port LA and you're a strategist, you're just putting together research around a channel growth or whatever. You're in creative sessions and we are picking everyone's brain kind of on equal footing around how to just make things better. It's one of the things I really love about Port LA. And yeah, you're right. Like we are a place where the tangents are real because you get talking about somebody who's doing a graphic design project that's personal and you're like, oh, we just ate an hour just talking about how that's going and how you can improve that. And I went to film school in the aughts, and it gives film school energy where you just feel like there's an excitement around based on the projects and you're able to jam on those with your peers. It's cool.
So I'm coming at this not knowing Jacob. I know nothing about Port LA. The first time I've even heard the name Port LA was when he brought up that he was bringing you on the podcast, and it sounded amazing. And I know that Josh like kind of came up in this space as well. So I'm gonna act as the audience and be like, what is Port LA, Jacob? And also like, how did you get into it? Kind of like our starting point always is like, how the hell did you get in this business? Because everyone's story is so bonkers and different. So if you want to start there, and then like, how did you get into Port LA and what is it?
Sure. Yeah. It's right. Yes, I will do both of those things. I think it might make sense talking about it more from my perspective because I learned about it just like you're going to learn about it right now. So I came up creatively through film school. I went to Florida State University, graduated 2006. So real internet video. Like there was a lot of stuff that you could find on the internet that was video, but this is like pre-YouTube really being a thing. So when I went to film school, everybody was still living in a world where it was like, oh, my outlets are going to be either film or TV, the end. Those are like the options if you wanted to go make something, make video, moving picture, whatever. So I graduated from Florida State, got my MFA, drove out to Los Angeles. I interned for a few weeks, and then I landed a great gig as a director's assistant, a personal assistant to a director, not an AD, on a studio feature. That was a Judd Apatow produced movie. Did that for a year. It was called Drillbit Taylor. It did miserably. It was not a good movie. I mean, I had a great time on it, and the director I worked for, Steve Brill, is fantastic. But the movie did not do well. It coincided, Owen Wilson was in that, and it's a kid's movie. And it coincided with a bunch of kind of bad publicity that he went through involving drug addiction, like at the exact time the movie was supposed to come out. So it got buried.
Always.
Of course. But the job was incredible because I got to do that fly on the wall thing and experience every aspect of the movie and sit in meetings with, my boss, the director, and Judd Apatow, the editor, and like hear them talk shop and hear strategy and really dig into that. And I proceeded to do kind of an on again, off again approach to that work for a few years where I would work for a director and then quit and not do a second movie, and then pull unemployment and work on my own projects, write features, write shorts, that sort of thing. I did that across 3 movies. Drillbit Taylor was the first. Postgrad was the second, directed by Vicki Jensen, who previously directed Shrek, big animation director. And this was her first live action movie. That was fantastic. And as part of that, I actually worked heavily in the commercial world over at Anonymous Content. We did a bunch of Old Navy spots and then quit and did my thing and like tried to take as much, I could out of the $400 a week I would get with unemployment. That would run out. And then I worked on Moneyball with Bennett Miller, which was a fantastic movie to work on. The guy's a genius. And that was my last personal assistant to a director gig, mainly because, as you can imagine, the pay isn't that great. And I had just turned 30. And I was like, I think I need to go to the dentist. I think I need like a job, a real job. So I left there, and I ended up getting kind of like, I fell into a job in the digital space. Up to that point, I was what I'd consider myself kind of a snobby art kid who liked film. Probably annoying at 30. But I got a job. A friend of mine who was a writer at the time knew of a company called Fullscreen, which was one of these MCNs. It was like a YouTube multi-channel network. Basically, these companies that would represent a bunch of YouTube channels and then try to bundle them together for branded kind of opportunities that would come through. Basically a bunch of house of card companies, and none of them really exist anymore, but there was a lot of growth for a period. And I got hired there as a head of production, actually, having zero producing experience whatsoever. They just liked that I knew how to make short form from short films, and they liked that I knew how to make a budget. And I knew that from film school. So I made a ton of mistakes there, but it wasn't like insane stakes in those mistakes. It was like fine. It was, small kind of errors you could make and learn from. I did that for 2 years. And while I was there, now I'm going to bring Portalay into the mix. I actually hired Portalay to do a branded campaign with us that AARP was paying for, that George Takei was hosting. It was a very low budget, like no budget sort of digital campaign. And I was recommended Portalay through a friend who worked at Fullscreen with me. Got on a call with Zach. Really liked them. I just felt like they were peers, like we were speaking the same language. It was a very hard project. There were, the usual sort of friction that you can imagine goes along on those. But at the end of it, I was like, I think I want to figure out a way to work with these guys. And they had called me asking if I knew of any producer recommendations. They wanted to expand their LA office. And I just pitched myself. I just hard pitched myself and went through a few interviews and then, landed that job. And basically I was the LA producer who was going to work on projects that Kai was going to direct. That was kind of the original way in. And I had this really obnoxious rule at the time that's brought up a lot at Portalay these days, because I had this pattern of quitting jobs because I just didn't believe in working any place more than 2 years. I felt like you get pigeonholed, and I had this weird fear of that. And I told them during the interview that I probably wasn't going to last more than 2 years because it was a rule. And then fast forward, I just had my 12th year anniversary there. So it's like that kind of a company. But the company, just to give you a high level of what Portalay is, brand entertainment agency doesn't really say much, but really anytime brands want to go make something on YouTube or on social platforms and need a partner who can make kind of best of show stuff there, we're one of those like kind of top tier companies to do that with a brand. And we're really good. Our superpower is mixing what a brand wants with some creator, someone who has an audience, whether it's like a traditional influencer or an athlete or a celebrity who has a digital audience. We're really good at threading the needle of making sure everybody stays happy and building something that's big, that's new, that doesn't feel like something you've seen before on the channel. And we've just gotten really good at that over the years. And now we work with brands like Target, Lenovo, Google, and YouTube, like pretty big brands, doing some car stuff now, which is really fun. But it's all short form. It's all like 5 minutes to 10-minute YouTube videos, basically.
Is it anything that we would see on streaming or anything, or is it all on YouTube?
Not really, although that world is changing fast. Now that YouTube is starting to eat everything in regards to how people are consuming TV in their living rooms. I think it's like 15% of the market share of what people are watching. More and more stuff that we make is going to sneak its way into those ads, because a lot of the times the things that we make will get media behind it and it might get placed around, a YouTube video or some experience people are watching. And then really specifically to get into what I do, because I started there producing that stuff, that branded content stuff. And it was around that time I had gotten representation and still was side hustling and writing my own projects, mainly features and some shorts. And I was really annoying. I was constantly just pitching my own ideas to the partners. And eventually I wore them down, and they allowed me to shift out of the branded side of the company into the original side of Portal, which has had a bunch of different lives, and currently exists as Moonshots, which I'm running, which is like a content lab where we're doing a lot of experimentation. And it's really just propping up like kind of short film style productions, but built for social media, like IP and platforms.
Ooh, let's get into that, Josh. I know you're primed for it. Let's go.
I am. I also want to say I saw Jacob at a wedding reception a few months ago. And I had a few drinks. I just pitching him left and right. I was like, hey, Jacob. hey, man.
You're always welcome.
I was like, do people do this to you often? You're like, all the time. I was like, great. You have like 4 ideas.
We're 3 of the 4 time travel.
Well, I was going to get there. Okay. So this is exciting. And yes, you guys are doing Moonshots.
Correct.
I know you just sort of, yeah, I know you just kind of discussed it. Can you get into again what it is? So are you hiring writers to create IP, like, or to create their vision?
It's weird. No, it is. It's weird, and it's a reaction to how we've structured our originals at Portal A. I'll just very briefly get into that, very very briefly. So when we started originals, we were doing the thing. This is like mid-teens, 2016, 17, 18, around there. We were reps at WME, and we were trying to take internet-inspired ideas or talent and package them up to sell to old school traditional networks or streamers. That was our original thing. So we would, we had a budget set aside for materials. We'd make decks, we'd make sizzles, we'd package it up, we'd go get in a room, pitch it over and over and over again. And the reality is we really hated it. And the main reason we hated it is every time we talked to our agents or an executive somewhere, they wanted to take our somewhat novel, hey, this is from the internet, this is a new trend, this is some weird, idea we have, and kind of hammer it into this really boring middle ground so it felt and looked like other stuff you saw on TV. A lot of that was unscripted. Most of it, I would say, is unscripted, although we did some scripted things or pitched some scripted things. So we did that until we absolutely couldn't bear it anymore. And around that time, there were a few social media platforms that had started originals teams. Like YouTube had YouTube Red, and then that turned into YouTube Originals. And these were, original wings at companies that basically operated like a studio. They had budgets. They were trying to create, premium entertainment for their platforms. A lot of it they were playing around with was like paywall, like pay gated, especially at YouTube at first. Then there were, places like Snapchat, who we made really good friends with. They were doing a lot of funding of originals as well. Facebook Watch, I'm sure you've seen, you remember this era. There were a ton of these things being made. And we caught a corner with both YouTube and Snapchat where we were doing a ton of work. We did like feature doc for YouTube. We did a bunch of series for Snapchat, including a $2.5 million scripted series that was my idea that I got to show run. That was like very legit. It was like fully unionized and felt very it felt like kind of a first feature, sort of, even though it was just like 45 minutes of content. But we, that was Action Royale. It was like this. It was a series that we did through COVID. We actually were supposed to shoot it in March of 2020. And then COVID hit. I remember I was actually in a writer's room, an impromptu writer's room at Kai's place in LA. And we had to have that conversation where it was like, oh, there's something going on. We all need to go home, basically. So we had to put it on pause. And then we propped it back up in 21 and did the whole COVID rules thing. And made that. That was really fantastic.
And that's a 45, you said it was 45 minutes. Was it like a show that was broken up into 10-minute stretches? What was it?
Yeah. So Snapchat, the way Snapchat worked is, their general rule was nothing more than 5 minutes long as far as an episode, quote unquote, goes. And then each one of those, because it was Snapchat, was broken up into snaps, which were like 8 to 20-second mini clips. So think of it, the writing process was really hard because I'm very traditional, the people I admire from a writing perspective, like P.T. Anderson and like Terrence Malick. It's not eight second snaps, but I had come up with it and I was just yes-anding a lot. I was like figuring it out, and it was, vertical format, there was a lot of learning that was going on in that. But I remember having a conversation with an executive who's a really good friend of mine now, Sarah Napier, and we were going through some of the scripts, and she was like, okay, here's a new rule for you. Anything more than 2 lines in dialogue is too much. So you started to have to do this real snappy thing where you were trying to encapsulate character development and, these conversations and objectives into these like real quick back and forths. And you end up just leaning on a lot of visuals. You end up just going like, well, what can I say without saying it?
Yeah, that's a great exercise. Yeah.
So it was a fun, I really made it a game. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So to answer your question, it was 45 roughly total minutes, it broken down into 5-minute episodes, and each of those was broken down into these snaps. And you sort of mapped it out on top of the script, having an idea of how that would work.
See, Tosh, it's all coming together. This is why I just knew it was all molding together.
This gets Josh so excited.
So wait, I have a couple of follow-ups. Number one, this is like a precursor to the vertical era that we're in now, it seems like.
Correct.
Number 2, when you said that you had your writer's room, were you hiring writers?
Yeah. So the writer's room was very small in that it was me plus one. It was very tiny. My co-writer was Jessica Granger. She came from very traditional background. She was she was staffed, I think, previously on two shows before this one, but this was going to be an opportunity to really own, a bunch of the episodes. I think we shared episode writing credit. We each had 5. I think we did 10 total, if I'm not mistaken. And, I had mapped out a basic arc for the show, but the way that we approached it, we just went into Kai's place and put big white Post-it notes all over his walls. He had just moved into this house, and we kind of started from scratch. We basically rebuilt. Because there were just 2 of us, I just saw it as an opportunity for us to just kind of explode the thing. And as long as we weren't, breaking big rules, like, let's go see what we could do. And we worked on it for 4 weeks and just started ripping scripts out. And there was a lot of, I would say the first 2 weeks was us basically writing stuff and me slipping it to my executive pals at Snapchat, because I was very nervous about the format because it was so unique. And then learning quickly, like, that most of what we were writing was just too traditional, and then having to rewrite it. The last 2 weeks is really where we crafted everything else. But we had paid, yes. There was WGA. It fell under a unique category at the time. It was like one of their digital categories. And that show was WGA, DGA, not IATSE. It was non-union as far as crew goes.
I love that. Was that you guys pushing that, or was Snapchat doing that themselves?
We pushed it. We pushed it from a writer standpoint, and they had high hopes from a director standpoint. We actually, Igor Martinovich is who we hired to direct. He actually had a co-director too, Maria Uranek, which is not how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry, Maria. But they co-directed. So I show ran, they co-directed, and I had a co-writer. The co-writer was not on set at all. She had, through COVID, moved back to, I think, Connecticut from New York, and was hunkered down there. But also I had Igor and Maria really play a part in a lot of the story beats, because it's such a small team. You're just like, any perspective is great perspective. And Igor is actually a really well-known DP. He shoots a lot of stuff for Errol Morris. He had just shot The Night Of on HBO. He was a pretty fancy DP, which is something I was really pushing for. I was like, this is a place where I think it'll really help us, because we're trying to make something look special and unique for vertical. And it's kind of terrifying for a lot of DPs to have to do that switch. And he loved it. He was like, yeah, the Egyptians, all of their art is vertical. He was dying for it.
Yeah.
So, and then we had Oren, who is our DP on this, is Oren Sofer, who's really talented. He came on, and he was excited to work on this because he got to work under Igor. It was kind of a waterfall effect, but it was great. It was a really cool project. We shot in 20 days. We shot in LA. One of my close friends, Cara Durrett, produced. She's real fancy now. She runs a fund for Pinky Promise, which is kind of a nice, like an indie kind of a shingle, but they have money. They do a lot of really great films these days. And she always, she was very appreciative because there weren't many things up and running during COVID. So we got to,
yeah, for sure.
we were a little bit of a life raft there. But yeah, great experience.
So, are those the kinds of things that you're now spearheading?
Not at all. So I forget that's halfway through. Right. So we caught a corner with all these things and we were cruising and I thought, oh, lock it in. Lock it in. This is our future. And then in 2022, all of those social media platforms dissolved their originals teams completely. They stopped spending money. And we were forced to kind of look in a mirror and go, well, what do we want our indie work, our originals to be? Because we don't want to go back to pitching. There's really not a big outlet for us to sell against anymore. And we reacted by creating moonshots. And what we decided to do very simply, without really a plan, was to take our budget that we had for development materials for decks and sizzles. At the time, it was like 100 grand. It was not a ton of money a year, but we're just like, what happens if we just take this, chop it up into a bunch of small short form projects and just go make stuff and just be experimental and like free ourselves from feeling beholden to agents or studio executives. And that's what it started as, and it's just grown from there. So now we're out there creating, a great mix of types of content, whether it's unscripted or scripted or for YouTube or for Instagram. We don't do tons on TikTok, but we also do short films. We've done a couple of short docs. We did Kai's film 5 Star, which is a short scripted film. We're going to do more scripted in the future, but it's really a grab bag of short form content that we make. And I prop all of them up like short films, basically, because our team is all doing branded work to pay for the company to exist.
Whether it's scripted or not, you mean you treat it as a short? Yeah.
That's right. The budgets are just, they always kind of fall in this like kind of 10 to 40K range. So that's a sweet spot that I really know how to build from, whether it's like, we're going to go do a Man on the Street series in New York, or we're going to do a short scripted series in San Francisco over 2 days or something. Like, I just know how to build that quickly, basically.
So, how does that work if I have an idea or I've written a script and I don't know what the fuck to do with this thing? I'm a traditional writer, right? And I may not have enough friends to create a crew. So it just kind of sits there on my desktop. How do you and I connect? And is that even who you're looking for?
Yeah, there's not a fancy process. It's really just hitting me up. And I mean, a lot of the people who do so are people who know Portal A or tastemakers who I've made relationships with, whether it's at a management company or an agency, or just people I know who are connected to really wonderful creatives to work with. And, we've done things where we've blasted out, it's not quite an RFP, but basically like an explainer of what Moonshots is. We've done that through like YouTube has SPMs who reach out to a bunch of YouTube creators and say like, hey, there's an opportunity here, whatever. And it has a little blurb and then contact info, moonshots@portal-a.com. And you can just do that and send it over and I'll review it very slowly because it's me. A singular person.
Team of one.
It's a team of one looking at stuff. But we don't have a mandate that's so narrow where there's like whole buckets I'm not looking at. I'm always looking, and everything is really considered. And I'm just also aware that our kind of internal, like what we're trying to fill our moonshot slate with changes constantly, month to month, especially year to year. It's always very different, but a lot of it depends on just kind of like the trends that we're seeing that are really cool.
Yeah, and I guess what drives that out of curiosity? Because let's say like Josh has a time travel thing, which he definitely does, Jacob, and it's probably very
I
good.
can't wait. I love it.
Like, are you guys doing stuff like that? And is the goal to, hey, this is like a proof of concept to then make it into a movie? Or is the goal on YouTube, get as many views as possible and then leverage that into something? Like, what is sort of the end game?
Yeah, the rubric, we call it internally. Like, what's the rubric that allows us to make our decision? So it's very unique in that it's, we want eventually for this to pay for itself through IP generation, whatever, but it's not really even a top 5 thing for us. It really is purely about us staying real sharp. It's about edge. It's about experimentation. It's about doing new stuff. I've been pitched a lot of really great ideas that come from trends that already exist that feels a little bit too much like those trends. And I'll just be like, this is probably going to work, but it's not really a moonshot. It's a little behind the curve or it's right on the curve. We're looking for stuff that's a little bit more forward thinking. So that's very important for us. We have some thematics that are very Portal A. We're like internet nerds. So if there's a digital bend to it, that always perks us up a little bit, or a tech bend, like that aligns with our narrative as a company. But new is good for us. And a lot of that might be just things we haven't done in a while. Like we just did a big run of kind of IG specific shows. So now I'm chomping at the bit to do something on YouTube, which is tricky because it's, with limited budgets, you can't do like a bunch of episodes of a YouTube show. So that's probably going to be a proof of concept. And to answer the IP question, that there's always value there, right? Like we're always thinking, oh, well, if we can go just create stuff for creative sake, then ideally it holds some IP value because you just never know. You never know when someone's going to come along and go, that thing I saw at a screening, because we do screening sometimes, or that thing I saw on so-and-so's channel that felt like super unique and a little bit like a test. I really like that. And by this, I mean like brands or studios or whoever. And if they come a knocking 2 years later, that's fine with us. We're friendly with the First We Feast guys. We know that the trend for a lot of digital things is not immediate. Sometimes you make something, it takes 5 years for it to become a thing. So we're really just about planting as many seeds as we can from an IP standpoint and taking as many swings as we can, and just keeping ourselves sharp and continuing this narrative of Portal A as a shop that, bets on itself as far as creativity goes and is going to continue to do that.
Off of that, are you willing to take writers then who have not directed before but want to, and this is their first thing?
Maybe. Yeah, it depends on the project. Let's say somebody was like, oh, I have an idea. I think it would be great for scripted IG series. There's like this Brooklyn Coffee Shop series that a lot of people reference.
I love it.
It's great, right? It's scripted. It's simple. It's like, you go like, I know how they can make this kind of cheaply. But it's also very premium. But if somebody came in with something like that and were like, hey, I have this idea and we just loved it, and part of the deal was they wanted to like direct it, that would not scare us. Because part of this is like we're able to prop it up with a little bit of insulation. I'm going to be there, we're going to have people from the company really there to make sure that it doesn't just, nobody's really out on a limb. That's sort of the thing that Moonshots brings that's really valuable, is you get to know that as a backdrop, you have this like specialty in Portal A, understanding both social and the sorts of formats that you might want to experiment with. But yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. And just one step further, a lot of the conversations we have with creators who have a big audience, even a lot of times they want to be able to do some stuff like that. So it's not even something that we haven't done before a lot. Like we just finished shooting a scripted series called Night Shift it's basically like a really dark romance series about a late night shift worker and an AI companion. That's it. It's just like one person plus a computer or phone having like kind of typical romantic conversations with an AI bot. And the director of this, who is an actor, does not have a ton of reps directing. But it was very clear that this was going to be like, she was going to be the engine for this. And I was just like, we're here for you, man. It's your vision. Like, let's go. And she crushed. She did a great job.
That's awesome.
Joyo Fodu is her name. She's great.
And so you might have kind of touched on this, but is there a best case scenario end game? And I'm kind of now thinking of Backrooms, and now thinking of, we just talked about on a previous episode, there's another thing that just something from the internet, like a meme that just got turned into a feature. I can't even remember what it is, and I'm spacing on it.
And Spielberg and
Spielberg's
Stuber, and they're like, the big dogs are getting in the fight.
Yeah, is that something you guys wanted? I mean, is that like best case scenario? Do you think about this?
Maybe. I don't, but it's just because I've been present in the digital space long enough to know that this isn't new at all. Like, I think it's wonderful, by the way, the Obsession Backrooms thing that happened. And but I've seen, Raka Raka came out with a feature a couple of years ago. Talk to Me. Is that right? The hand. Talk to Me. Fantastic. Those are YouTubers. It's not like Curry Barker is like this brand new idea of a person who's doing this. This has been happening for a while. It's just the fact that it happened at the same time. I feel like that's the new. And they made so much money. They made a ludicrous amount of money. It's like a tipping point. But we're not out there like hunting for the next, you know, Parsons. We're just trusting our own instincts and like trying to make things that perk us up. And scripted's hard. Scripted's hard. You know this. Like it's a hard thing to do at scale for very short, small budgets. We're always going to be doing it, but it's not the bulk of what we do. Most of what we do are weird formats that we think could work for like, you know, 3-minute episodic things. Whatever that is, scripted or unscripted, but it's not specifically going like, oh, is this a thing that could be a feature tomorrow? We do think about worlds and formats that could be bigger. You know, like if we're pitched something and it's like, oh, you can easily understand how that could become a 15-minute YouTube series, or how that world could then become a feature film, like, let's go. It does excite us, but we try not to let that get in the way of executing the thing in front of us, which is the short form, simple, you know, how can we batch shoot 10 episodes in 2 days sort of a thing. I'm leaving all that for later.
It's Tasha. What are you feeling right now? As someone, you've heard me ramble about this stuff for quite some time. Are you perking up, or are you just now hearing me ramble again?
I feel pretty energized, honestly, because I do feel like it's such a great window of opportunity for people who are traditional like myself, who have a lot of things that just get blocked by our studios and producers. Like you're saying, like they don't understand it, or it's too big for them to wrap their head around, or they tell you it's execution based and you just want to try something. Also, as someone who wants to direct, I think a lot about doing a short. So it's all very exciting for me, especially when you're saying like you want to do things that are edgy and you want to do things that are different. Like those are all the buzzwords that we as writers like want to hear. So I think it's extremely exciting. I thank Josh for bringing you on the podcast.
You know, Jacob, I've been rambling to Tasha for so many years about this, and I'm like, oh, and then this, and I'm gonna try to do this, and I think it was in one ear out the other. You've come on for
no, it's because we talk about doing shorts all the time, and Josh is like, do it, and I'm like, okay, but like how? All of my experience is in traditional features and TV. So yeah, it's super cool. And I guess I hope that you just, I'm sorry, but I hope you get flooded with emails after this podcast. But like, what is the process? Like, do you hear pitches? Do you prefer scripts? Like how, like writers who are listening to this, like what, if they have something ready to go?
Yeah, the barrier is low. I do that on purpose because I'm also a writer and a director, and it really pains me to think of people doing the full rigmarole of like, I'm going to go build a big pitch deck. I'm going to walk in with like 25, and it's like, okay, what we're doing is weird. Our scale is weird. Like I much would rather have some people just reach out and get on a call. Honestly, I'll take a call with pretty much anybody. If I get really flooded, I'm very honest about bandwidth, but I'll take a call with pretty much anybody and just kind of talk shop about the things in their brain and the things that they want to do, and then start small and grow from there. We typically will, you know, start with a conversation and move to like a treatment, like a 1-page black and white. I don't need a bunch, you know, don't go on shot deck. Just give me words. Let me like think about it, because, you know, it is a narrow Venn diagram that we're trying to hit. And I just don't want to waste a bunch of people's time, because I've been run through the gauntlet with having time wasted myself. So I'm extremely empathetic to that. So it starts with a conversation. We build from there. And if we get to a point where I'm like, this is really interesting, I'm going to start floating it up to a few more people at Portal A. Then we'll start to move into deck mode and then seeing if we can slot something in. But I'm here for it. And I'm also very excited about it. I came in to Portal A in 2013 or 2014, whenever it was. And I was also a creature of like very traditional filmmaking and TV. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, this is just like some weird, internet-y, day jobby thing. And then you slowly realize the convergence of like quality, and, you know, you see more stuff where you're like, oh no, this is just good, straight up. Like this is really, whether it's scripted or unscripted or everything kind of crosses over into the same bucket. And that's where I live now. Now I'm just like, I don't know, man. I see stuff online. I track directors on Instagram who are only making things on Instagram, and I'm like, that person 25 years ago would be making a movie that would get into Sundance. They found the outlet that was right in front of them, and they just started making stuff there. And I have this debate I have a writing partner who's a fan of the pod, Ryan Spindell.
Oh, I forgot that you work with Ryan. We
Yeah,
love
Ryan and
Ryan.
I are old friends who went to film school at the same time and lived together for years. And we debate about this all the time. And the recent thing with Kane Parsons and Curry Barker was like, wow, they're young, they're the YouTubers, are they not? And I was like, dude, they're just like, I feel strongly if PT Anderson was 18 years old right now, he would be making rad stuff on YouTube, and that's how he would blow up. It just wouldn't take the extra time to have to go like hit an age where you can raise the money to go make a short film to get into the Sundance lab, da. It's just everybody has this stuff at their fingertips now. So most of the discovery for those unicorn type creatives it's going to happen on digital. But I'm equally excited about the space.
You have such a unique perspective of short form content, the features, and like you were saying, the convergence of where things are going and where things can be and what works, what doesn't work. And this is what I think is so amazing, not just about Portal A, but also Moonshots and what you're creating, because it really is another outlet for creatives, writers, directors.
And we've had good crossover. Do you all know Chris Amick is a Florida State grad who now writes on he wrote on Kung Fu Panda, the Netflix series. We've hired him a bunch of times to write on branded stuff. We're always dipping into traditional writers to come and work on things. It's just when they come up. And then from a Moonshot standpoint, yeah, let's go. I would love to work with, and knowing now, how hard the industry is, frankly, lack of things being made, the pipelines, all this anxiety over AI. I feel like if you're a young writer and you're not looking past just doing features and TV and the more traditional routes, you're really handicapping yourself. Because there's a lot that can be done with short form. And I mean, the budgets are going to, you're seeing a lot with micro dramas. We haven't quite dipped our toes into those buckets quite yet. We're still wrapping our head around it a little, but the opportunities for short form are very real, and it's going to start propping up more and more of the industry, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to kind of just take us home on, was just kind of your advice to any writer or any young writer. Would you tell someone to write something short form?
Yes. And listen, even before the internet, all this opportunity on the internet with these platforms, I'm a big believer in really understanding how to craft short form, shorts in general. It's all scene work. Give me a good scene first, and then show me, how you connect those scenes together to make a feature. And I think it's a very important part of the puzzle. So if you're going to do that anyway, because it's good practice for a feature, why not do it with a mind for a place it can be distributed, like Instagram, YouTube, wherever, and then send it to me and I'll take a look at it.
Flood him with your emails and calls, guys. No, this is amazing. I really appreciate you coming on and opening my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of other people, to just how many other amazing opportunities are out there for us to do what we love to do. It's super cool.
Yeah, it was fun to be here. I love the pod. It's great.
Thanks, Jacob. All right, I'm going to take us out with the quote of the day. Talent is cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is just a lot of hard work. Stephen King. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at ActTwoWriters for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram.
And I'm Josh Hallman on Instagram. And Jacob, where can people find you if you want to be found, and contact you if you want to be contacted? It's too late. It's
happening.
Moonshots at portal-a.com is a good place to just send stuff. We also have a website which has also contact information, and that is moonshots.portal-a.com.
Is there a place on YouTube that just everyone can watch all of the stuff that you've been talking about?
It's all over. It's on all of our partners' channels when we partner up to make stuff typically. So the website's a good place that we've been compiling everything, basically.
Okay.
And what about yourself, personally speaking? Do you want to throw out any of your handles?
Yeah, I think I'm old enough that I got my name for everything. So it's like at Jacob Motz, you'll find me, or it's jacobmotz.com is the website. There's another Jacob Motz who's in the industry, and I feel kind of bad because he's like 5 years younger than me. So I swooped and got everything before he could even do it. I feel kind of terrible about it. But
So he's Jacob Motz 97 or something.
yeah, one. I don't know. I feel terrible about it.
All right. Well, reach out to Jacob for sure, y'all. And as always, the Act Two podcast is a production of Act Two, the network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.